In this video, I would like to briefly go over the literary analysis essay that I've assigned in hopes that it'll help you understand what I'm asking for and what you can do to be successful on this assignment. So I'm asking for a 2 to 3 page essay in which you will support and connect the ideas of your chosen point of analysis through your personal reading, right, which is how you interpret the story, and research of the text. Okay, so that's as well as looking into the secondary source there. And you have to use at least one secondary source. Okay, so it's what you see out of the text is your primary point of analysis, right? What do you think is significant? And then in order to support your primary point, you will find at least one secondary source. For topics, I'm pretty open about topics. I do give you 4 options here, but certainly if you feel like there's something else that you really are connected with, you can propose that to me, and I'm happy to typically I'll just accept that. The reason why I do ask that you talk to me about it is because I hate for people to get off track, so I would really like to be able to give you some feedback on it. The first option is to analyze a theme from one of the stories. Remember that a theme is the main idea of the text. So, the idea of coming of age is a really difficult thing to do, or the grass isn't always greener on the other side. These are really generic themes, but certainly they're good starting points. What is the main idea that you took out of one of these stories? So in that paper, you wouldn't just tell me what the story was about, but you would tell me how that particular theme manifests itself within the events of the text. Number 2, you can look at one theme in 2 or 3 different stories. Certainly the coming of age theme is one that's easily seen in several different tales, right? And it's portrayed differently, so you want to be careful how you connect those, but certainly they can be connected. The third option is to analyze a character from one story. If there was one character that you get, and you think you can convey that to an audience, I'm going to encourage you to pick number 3. The key here is not to say what the character did, but to say how the character's actions reflect on who you think the character really is. Imagine that someone else has read the story and they don't quite understand something. So you're trying to explain to this other person who this character is. You can also look at it as kind of almost like a defense. So if someone is attacking the character and saying, oh, this character was terrible, this character was just completely wrong, things like that, how would you defend this character? What do you think about the character? And the fourth one is a literary argument of your choosing. A literary argument is something that's kind of just this vast, broad concept, but it's something that someone else could disagree with. So, if you contend, for example, that the mother in The Secret Lion was completely unfeeling and that she just didn't care about her kid at all, and nor did any of the adults, for example, that could be a literary argument. And the reason why that would be effective is that certainly you have plenty of support in the text to support that, but there's also a lot of support to say just the opposite. You don't want to make a literary argument that is focused on something that no one would disagree with, right? It has to be an argument in that sense. Specifics. You have to turn in every part of the process. Now, in other subsequent essays in this course, you will not have to turn in all of the steps of the process. Many of you have already done this in 101, and I appreciate that. Part of our objectives in 102 is to make sure that you can handle all these things, so I am asking to see it for this essay. I do need to see your brainstorming and your organization, right? So that could be just jotting down some ideas. It could be, more of a free write. It's whatever works for you. I do need to see some form of an outline. It can be a formal outline. It can be a sentence outline. It can be just a brief concept outline. I am asking you to make it look like an outline. The full rough draft and peer review, right? So what comments you got back from your classmates. A copy of your source with the portions that you used highlighted. You can copy and paste this into your document, because remember you want to turn in a single document for this assignment, and just highlight it within your Word document. And then the final copy, of course. My preference is that these actually be flip-flopped in the order that you present them, so the final copy would be on top, so on and so forth. But I realize that I happen to put them in the wrong order here. Additional information. You definitely want this to be 12-point Times New Roman font double-spaced. You need to pay close attention to MLA formatting with in-text citation, works cited, and the actual page format. I've posted some videos for you. There's also plenty of resources online that you can look at as well as in your textbook. Literature-specific terminology. Instead of saying the main character, I'm hoping that you say protagonist. Instead of saying the place where everything happens, I'm hoping that you say setting. It should kind of harken back to 10th grade English. It's not monumentally difficult here. Integrate at least one credible and scholarly secondary source. My best suggestion here is to look at the library webpage. If you do the library search and you do one search, it will actually search a bunch of different databases. Make sure that your scholarly and credible source is not a source of summary, but rather a source of analysis. You don't want to use master plots, for example, because all master plots is going to tell you is what happened in the story. You are going way beyond that. You'll notice all the words that I'm asking you to use are analyze. I'm not asking for any summary. I know what happened, right? I follow the points of events. What do you think the meaning of that is? And of course, I'm asking you to display the conventions of good writing. This is a college level course. You should have all passed English 101, which is really more focused on a lot of like the structuring and organization and sentence level skills. So I'm hoping that you come into this course with those already intact. Because I'm trying to set this up well ahead of time, so you've got plenty of time to work on it, I do want you to note that the due date is tentative and it may be changed. As always, if you have questions, feel encouraged to ask.